Hello, I want to share with you Ocean Oasis. This has several pieces to it, and when we put the whole section together, it provides a way for your body to move slowly and gently, but also to nourish the reflexes within the body, the coordination of whole body movement, and the energy flow that gets the whole 5-element wheel working together. So that's a lot of stuff happening at one time, but we can do it really easily with these movements. You can add any kind of music that you like to this sequence. And what I would encourage you to do is check out my Spotify list. It'll be under Michelle Greenwell Chi Integration, Y-I-N. Integration. And that list has a whole series of music pieces that kind of flow together. And they're all about nourishing and reflecting with the water, reflecting with the ocean, and being able to pull everything together into one set. So I encourage you to take advantage of that and look at that playlist, or create your own playlist of something that's nourishing, relaxing, has words in it that allow you to manifest or goal set and to really make a change for how you're choosing to function and how you're choosing to be well and feel energized and revitalized. So let's get started. The first thing is the pearl. So if you had the oyster down at the bottom of the water, sitting on the sand in the sea bottom, and inside of the shell, you're going to find that little pearl. That pearl for us in Tai Chi is known as the golden pill, but is also known as the energy source that emanates energy for us everywhere. And we can build it, we can cultivate it, we can expand it, we can contract it. We can also use up all the energy and drain ourselves. So what we're going to do is find a way to build the energy, store it within ourselves, and then choose actions that don't exceed the energy that we have cultivated. Making choices that allow us to always feel energized and the ability for the body to rejuvenate itself and keep that energy flow going. So taking your hands, just bring them closer together till you feel a little bit of a resistance, I guess is the best way to put it. Sometimes it's like an attraction, and it's like your hands pull and then they just stop. So everybody has a different experience, but you just want to kind of find that. And we are thinking about a circle. So you might want to just see if you can feel the shape of it, its roundness, the edges of it. Notice what the edges feel like. Are they soft? Are they sturdy? Are they hot or cold? Can you notice any smells or tastes that come with your pearl? And just starting to bring awareness to all the different ways that you can reflect on and gain awareness about something. So mine is sitting right about here. So I'm hoping yours is similar. Might be smaller, might be larger. Okay, and we're just trying to find that pearl. Now the pearl, we can play with in different ways. What I want to do is cultivate the energy within this pearl so it's really strong and vibrant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my hands on top in a clockwise fashion. And you could probably start to feel within your hands a little bit of a buzzing. And that's the awareness that we've brought to the two fields of our hands, to the idea of the energy between our hands, and the idea that we're going to cultivate and build energy. Okay, so we're just bringing that all in. Okay, my hands are really vibrating. So now I'm going to bring in some of the movement that comes from Chi integration in set one. Set one has just the most basic components of movement, but they are so profound. And this one is rotation in the spine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my weight into my right foot and move my hands towards the right. And then I'm just going to take that pearl and turn it over And then I'm going to rotate my hands. Now this time I'm going to go counterclockwise, coming around. And I'm just going to sink over into my left foot, just drop down into it. And what I'm doing while I'm doing this little action is I'm actually engaging in my lower dantian, below the belly button. I'm just engaging lower dantian where the golden pill is stored. And so as we're playing with this pearl, our representative of the golden pill, we're actually also engaging in that lower dantian, the movement and the action of contraction, expansion. So I'm down in my left foot and I'm just going to leave my hands here. And then I kind of sink over to the right. But then I have this spiral to get me into there. And that gives me the action. I'm just going to turn it over. I'm going to go back to clockwise. And again, this is just, I'm just following my intuition. So, you know, whatever works for you is good because it's just about cultivating. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cultivate it out a little bit wider. Just feel that. And then I'm going to just bring it down. Just kind of bring it through the space. Now my hands want to change direction and they want to flip over. So I'm just going to do that. And now what I'm going to do is it feels like it wants to expand. And maybe yours does, maybe yours doesn't. Maybe yours wants to go smaller. Okay, there's no right or wrong. All it is about intention and our opportunity to expand. Now I want to go behind myself, which is kind of impossible. So I'm going to imagine I'm transferring this behind me. And I'm expanding it behind me and then bringing it through. Okay, now you can play with that. If I've got music on, I like to play with it through the whole piece of music, one piece. And then what I'll do is I'll just bring that pearl back and just settle into my feet, trying to keep those feet in the mirror or in the camera here. It looks like my feet are turned out, but they are straight forward. It just doesn't look like that. Okay, and I feel, oh, now it's feeling like it's really solid, which was more airy before, but now it's really condensed, I guess. I'm not sure. Okay, so I've got that. And now what I want to do is I want to bring that to me. This is the energy that's going to revitalize me and support me and allow the body to balance in wellness. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn that ball. And then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to bring it towards my lower dantian. And rather than direct it into me, I'm just going to allow the body to absorb what it would like. So instead of saying, here you are, take it, I'm just going to say, here it is. You're welcome to whatever you want. I'm just going to let the body decide what it would like. I just noticed my hips release and the tension just from going back and forth. There was a few muscles had not relaxed. So I just noticed that relaxing. And I'm kind of rocking back and forth on my feet, almost like I'm in the waves of the water and they're just suspending me. And even my hands, I can feel them just vibrating. It's the energies deciding where it would like to be absorbed and going into the body. Okay, I don't know if you can see me going back and forth, but I'm definitely waving. Okay. And oftentimes it's hard to do on your own. You just need somebody there to support you in the whole thing. So I hope that you find this valuable and that you just turn the video on and enjoy it. Okay, there it is. So my body has now said, I know where I want to put this energy, what I want to do with it. And now it's saying it's okay to come in. If I had just given it before, I would have forced it in. But now my body has prepared and put itself where it wants to be. So now my hands are right to my body and I'm just going to hold that space and feel as the energy kind of goes down in my feet, up the spine is kind of zapping around up through the top of my head. I'm just feeling like my posture has a little bit more to support it. And I can feel my lower back relaxing. So it's really connected to the floor. Okay. So that's the pearl. That's part 1 of Ocean Oasis. Stay tuned for part 2. This is part 2 of Ocean Oasis, and this is known as resonating with the water. So we had brought the energy into lower dantian and just sinking down into the sand with our feet, just really feeling the currents of the ocean and the power of the water that comes through that. And just as that energy is floating through the system and really allowing the energy flow to be created, it's just taking on, it's got a life of its own for my body. All right, what we're going to do is resonate with the water. Now I can do this through commencement from Tai Chi, and I often do that when I am doing my Tai Chi practice. But there are other ways that we can also do it. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of ways you can play. You can put it in whatever order you want. You can delete the pieces that don't resonate with you today, and then maybe next time they'll resonate. Okay, so I just really feel that energy of the lower dantian. My hands are actually starting to heat up, as well as kind of the little buzz that's there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring commencement in. So I'm just going to bring my hands out in front and just let my shoulders expand and open and the back of my neck raise by letting my arms just kind of suspend off of my shoulders. So I could put them down by my side, but that would be closed. I want them to suspend. Now you might look at that and go, oh, she's holding Braba and ballet. But what I'm actually doing is I'm actually just feeling how my arms suspend off my shoulders. And so that roundness comes from there, not from me holding a dance position. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to imagine that wave of water and just let the waves come through. I'm just going to notice the power that comes through that wave. And I'm just going to bring that in and resonate. Okay, commencement would actually lift a little bit higher, but my arms were feeling like they didn't want to go that high. And as soon as I did, the center of my back was starting to complain. So I'm just going to wave a little bit smaller. I'm waving through my feet into the ball of my foot, back towards my heel. And when I push down into that bubbling spring, the center of the ball of the foot, that's nourishing the whole body and firing up all the systems of the 5 elements. Okay, now my stomach is starting to gurgle. If you hear a few gurgles, that's always an indication I'm in the right place. Okay, so this is not quite commencement, but it certainly allows for the power to come into the body. All right, so that would be one way of resonating with the water. You can just feel that ocean coming through. Another way to resonate would be to allow the body to roll. So as I'm coming around, sink. This is going to rise, open, sink. The microphone is right on my collarbone. I'm laughing because you may hear all the clunking going on inside there. Okay, so this is just the most gentle wave. I'm just going to turn so you can see a little bit what my body is doing. And it's got that open and then close, sink, open and close, coming through. Okay, now we also want to try going the other way. So the wave is going to come over and through. Your arms will go where they're comfortable, and it's just nice and gentle. And again, you can see how picking a piece of music that kind of reflects this kind of movement will allow you to really just become involved with the movement pattern and kind of get lost in it. Okay, so that's coming through. All right, so that would be another way that you could play with it. Now, we're resonating with forward and backward, but there's also sideways. So if we were to go sideways, you'd be sinking down into your right hip. And then if you imagine what the seaweed looks like on the bottom of the ocean, you have this beautiful wave that comes through. You also have the power of those plants. They're suspended in that water. And they get moved around quite a bit. So they have to be very supple and very together. Now, what you'll notice is I'm starting to move differently than just side to side. And I'm just following what my body would like to be doing. And I'm just going to sink. And what I've been doing is holding my head and allowing my body to do the movement, but let's bring the head into it as well. So if you think about lower dantian is going to move you to the side, and then the body goes, and then the head goes. Lower dantian comes across, body, head. And you'll notice I'm sinking down into that leg. And that's just allowing me to fold and push. There's the power of the leg and the power of the foot. Again, we're massaging the bottom of the foot, which is boosting all the systems. And that's coming through. Now I feel like my arms really want to do some more movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to imagine their leaves on that seaweed. And I'm just going to let them move with the water. I also notice one side of my body wants to do one thing and the other side wants to do something different. So they don't move quite the same. And that's totally fine. Just flowing through. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a figure 8 into my hips. Just letting it all rotate back and forth. My shoulders, my arms, my head, trying to keep it nice and relaxed on the top of those shoulders. And all the way through. Very, very gentle. Now these patterns are making figure 8s for us. And that is the way you link energy up in the body. So we put the pearl into the lower dantian, the golden pill, and now what we've done is we've actually brought all the systems into a flow together and created that. And then I'll bring it back to center. So that's the end of resonating with the water. Part 3 of Ocean Oasis is starfish to jellyfish. So if you imagine a starfish has 5 points, we're actually going to have 6. So we have the top of our head, we have the tailbone, we have each hand or arm, and we have each leg and foot. Okay? And so the first part of the starfish, I'm going to turn so you can see, is going to be expanding where you are comfortable, lengthening out, opening the hip, wherever you're comfortable. And then you're just going to let that completely collapse and drop. And when you get to the bottom, hang your head, hang your arms just as if they're just completely open from your shoulders and from your neck. And what I want you to do is, being a jellyfish, push through the bottom of your feet. And what I want you to do is just feel the fluidity of the movements from being round. And I'm just going to pull this, pushing through my feet. I'm just bringing it back up to where I can feel like I'd like to expand, opening up as the starfish, nice and wide, open. There's a few more cracks you might hear. Head's going to come over, body's going to roll over. Everything is going to hang at the bottom, and then just let that jellyfish float in the water. Your arms are just reflecting what the water is doing. Your feet are giving you the power. And this is just going to roll back up. So I'm going to do this one more time. Nice and big. Now you can leave your eyes open and you can close them, whatever's comfortable. Roll that over. Let that roll down, roll through your whole spine, and just feeling that fluidity. So what you had in the shoulder, elbow, wrist joints is now down into the fingertips, in your skull, in through your neck, And now you want to bring it into the spine so it's nice and fluid. And I'm just shaking back and forth and just allowing that to roll. And let that finish. So you can take your time with that. For adults, it's typically 5 of those. We did them quite slowly and gently, so I think that 3 felt good. If I was working with kids, I would be using 3 for sure, but adults usually a couple more just to get to that motion. Again, if I was listening to music, I might use a whole piece of music and explore that. Just being suspended as that starfish out, and just my hands just felt like they were floating up from the water. And then I could just feel my whole body just wanted to collapse and relax. I could feel that all coming through. And then I'm able to take the energy that we've built by opening up each of the joints. When you have a lot of energy built up, your breath is slow, big, and relaxed. The oxygen starts to build that energy up into each of the joints until the joints are all full. The bones are full. And that's what we're aiming for. So that's what you're looking for. So when you're hanging upside down and you start to feel that fluidity come through the spine, each vertebra is getting its own space. And then you've got all that space within the bones, allowing for reflection, reverberation, openness, and energy building. That's the end of the starfish to the jellyfish. Okay, so there's a transition that goes between starfish to jellyfish and this next piece, which is the seahorse. And that transition, we had figure eights coming through the body earlier, and we had that all coming through. And now what I would like to suggest to you is a more advancement of that figure eight, and then we'll move into the seahorse. So the figure eight would be moving your right hip around to the back, moving the left hip around to the back. So you can feel that sway. Now, if you wanted to imagine in the water, you could be the seaweed. You could be just moving the water. Sometimes I just go and stand so I'm about waist deep, and then I just do this wave back and forth and just let my body move the wave within the water. Okay, so that would be one way of working with it. Now we can go back the other way, which would be to bring the figure eight through in reverse. Now, this is going against the water because it's kind of like pushing away, but this is drawing in. So sometimes you can think of this as bringing the power back in, bringing the power to you, offering it to your body, not just bringing it in, but actually offer it to your body and suggest. You might want some of this. If you need it, take it. If you don't need it, that's great. And then just very gentle. Okay, so that way you could move with those figure eights. I'm going to add one more piece, which is to take the hand and imagine you have maybe a seashell sitting on it. Or if you watch The Octopus's Teacher, you maybe want to put an octopus on the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hand underneath, and my figure eight, sorry, not my figure eight, my hips are just going to circle, but my hands are making the figure eight pattern. So my hand goes underneath, it goes around, it goes over the top and comes through. Now you can keep this small, just a little bit of a hip circle, or you can make it bigger. So I could step my feet apart, I could dip, I could expand, I could be like the starfish, open that as far as I can. It's up to you, you decide. Some days I like to go smaller, sometimes I start small and go bigger. So it just depends where I'm at. And this is coming around. Okay, now you'll notice my other hand has not really been involved, and it's just been kind of out here navigating life. And that's really what it's doing. It's really being reflective. So right here, you notice there's a drop in this shoulder and an expansion that comes out the bottom of that arm. So even though I wasn't talking about it, it has a role that it plays in the movement. Okay, so that brings that in. So let's try it the other way. So we've got that hip circle going clockwise, and the left hand is going to come around, over the top, all the way around, and then it's going to come back in. And around, over the top, comes back in. And around, over the top, comes back in. Now I'm going to make it bigger. So I'm going to slide my feet apart, let my head go right back. Okay, there's that. Now I'm going to add awareness of my other arm, and I'm going to let it have a life of its own outside of this movement, all the way around. Okay, so now we have this movement that's brought a figure eight up and down through us. Now what we're going to do is take the figure eight through the body this way as the seahorse. So the head is going to go down. It allows for us to curl. So you're going to arch your back out. Belly's going to come in. And you're going to sink down where you're comfortable. And then I want your head to pull out first. And that's going to allow your tailbone to stick up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to pull all the way up and through. And then take it back. Sink. Roll, curl everything over, down towards the bottom, and then pull out. That's going to come up and through. So now my arms I didn't talk about too much because I wanted you to get the body action. But my hands, pull through with the head, can be a little bit opposite of what's happening. And they can be playing, and you'll notice, head comes through, your hands going opposite each other will end up with a figure eight pattern. So we're going to come through, lift, and sink. Okay, that gives us the seahorse and that whole movement, which is from head to tailbone, and just really getting that whole core piece moving. The expansion and contraction of lower dantian means you're building energy and storing it. So that little action, very gentle and relaxed, is building energy for you. And that's the seahorse. Okay, we're going to work on the octopus pause. This happens 3 different times for the last part of this ocean oasis. This is a place where we bring our awareness back to lower dantian, and then we just allow the movement back and forth to let it expand, assimilate, become a part of us. So what I want you to do is just take your hands, which have been cultivating energy, bring them to lower dantian, just placing them there. And then I want you to use your foot to push you. And you're just going to push back and forth and just start a twisting action, very gentle. Again, this is some of the key pieces that comes out of the Chi integration set 1. Just getting that spine rotation. Each vertebra is connected to a different organ system, as well as to different muscles and tissue. And so this action allows it to connect. So the octopus pause is just a chance for you to move through space, let everything figure out where it needs to be, and then just bring it back to relaxed, and you can bring your hands back to lower dantian. Now you may decide you want to put your hands onto the body. You may decide your hands are going to be off the body. And if they are off the body, you can turn your palms towards the lower dantian. And again, just let your arms suspend themselves from your shoulders. So I'm not trying to hold ballet position. I'm just really relaxed. I'm trying not to hold sandwich fingers. Again, just relax. My thumbs are relaxed. And just holding that space. And if you see my fingers, there's space between my fingers, which allows the energy to flow through the spaces. If I closed my fingers up, it would block that. So this is letting that space be open. You might notice your hands are buzzing, and actually my whole body is completely alive, is the best way to describe it. And that's the octopus pause. So when I call that it's in the next couple of moves, all you need to do is find lower dantian, move through this space, let everything just figure out where it needs to be, bring it back to the space and hold it there. What we're going to do now is called the water grid. And in the back here, you have the place where the kidneys correspond to. And when you do a twisting action, you have the ability to squeeze the kidney on one side and release it on the other side. It's just like a little gentle massage. You don't want to do it with force or vigor. You want to do it very gentle and relaxed. So it's just a gentle massage. And as we do that, the tissue that surrounds the kidneys also starts to move and relate itself to the other organs that are all around the kidneys. And what we're going to do is we're going to start really gentle and move through to something that's going to be a little bit more. We're going to start with the right palm up and the left palm down. So the arms will be in this direction, and I'm going to expand them out. I'm going to reach my hands out as far as I can to open my shoulders, lift up through the top of my head, and then I'm going to just turn the hands over from one direction to the other. This is just the beginning. Okay, so we're just going to make some suggestions. The direction that you place your palm changes your pelvis and the way it's going to tilt. And if you're standing on a really relaxed set of legs and the pelvis is suspended above the legs, you might be able to feel the shifts that happen. Now, if you don't, that's okay. I've been doing this a long time. It took me a while to find it. I can start to feel little zappings going on in my left hand here, particularly in my middle and second finger. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to move like the seaweed, back and forth, rotating the arms. And I'm just sinking into one leg and then sinking into the other leg. Okay, now that's a very gentle movement, but you'll notice there's a little bit of squeezing on each side as you get there. Okay, so now we have that. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it gently and just wave it in the water. And wave it. And wave it. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave from one direction to the other direction very gently. So you'll notice how in the back there is a little bit of squeeze on one side when you get there, a little bit of squeeze on the other side when you come back. All right, now my hands are still flowing one up, one down as they come back and through. So I still have that action, but I don't have the same extension through my shoulders that I had before. And just pushing through my feet just allows me to give some freedom into my hips and my waist and allow that spine to rotate. And if I come back to the palms, I can just weave myself back to where we have one, and then we have the other, back and forth. Now I can add my head. I can leave my head where it is. All right. We can also take the hands the opposite way. So I can reach across and then I can reach back. Now in this case, I have the palms up. So as I come through, I'm just going to turn. You can see how my palm is up. And I'm just sinking down into my leg. I'm trying not to do any pressure into my knees, that there's any pain or anything. It's just very gentle. And now this way, you can also supply that same bit of squeeze and relax and come through. Beautiful. All right, so there's a lot of ways to play with the water grid. When you're finished playing with the water grid, you go back to the octopus pause. Let the energy come in and then just wave through. And when you're finished, and again, you go at your own pace, take your time, follow the music, whatever you're guided to do, bring it back and hold that energy into lower dantian, cultivating that pearl. We're going to do lifting the clouds. This in Tai Chi is often referred to as separating heaven and earth, because our hands are going to separate through the middle, palm down, palm up. And that action is actually coming through the whole core, taking part of us up to the universe, the other part down to the earth, and creating that connection. And so our hands expanding this way creates that idea. So I called it lifting the clouds. And if we were in the ocean, you're kind of floating on the water, or you're standing in there and you've been playing with the water. Now what you want to do is connect from the water into the universe, connecting back with the air, connecting with the sun that's coming and shining down on you, coming radiating straight through you and going down to the bottom of the sea. So what we're going to do is take our right hand and turn it up. Our left hand, and we're coming from our heart center. We're going to have one hand go up, one hand go down, separating. And then once you get there, we're just going to take the hands, be like a barrel of monkeys, if anybody played with that toy. The arms are going to come around, palms facing out, until you're the other direction. And then you can expand it and sink down, trying to find some more space in between all the vertebrae. So I'm just going to come around so you can see it this way. So I'm going to separate, drop my tailbone, and I'm just going to come around and then sink. Expand that tailbone. Okay. So this one, you can go back and forth as you feel comfortable. I usually like to play about 4 or 5 times, making the full revolutions. And then what's going to happen is we want to go front to back. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take one to the back, one to the front. Palms still facing out. We're just going to roll back for now. And since you already did working with the water wheel, all of this is expanding and contracting through those kidneys again. But now we're linking up with all the organ systems. Everybody's moving around. Okay, and now what we can do is we can go forward if you like. You may feel that you need this, which would be like swimming. And I still have my palms out, and I'm just back and forth between my legs. And I'm just going to stop there. I'm going to turn the palms in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that forward, but the palms are in. So energy now is coming to the inside. Let that come through and in, through and in. Right. Now I've kept both hands going, but what you might want to do is put one hand to the ground, down the ocean sea bottom, and just let this hand come all the way around and reflect back. And you can circle it and open it, coming through. Circle, open, expand. Okay, and if you want to do the other hand, you can place down to the ground, open, around, expand, pull it through, open, pull it through, open, pull it through. Right. So that gives you some different ways that you can play with the clouds and just bringing that all the way through, feeling it. Notice how you want to expand, how you want to contract. You decide how many movements that you want to do. Just keep them very gentle, nice deep breaths. Just feel the expansion that you can create. Feel the sunshine coming down through your hands. Feel your connection down to the seabed, onto the stones, on the beach, onto the sand. And just enjoy being present and moving just so openly. After you finish that, you're back to the octopus pause, bringing that energy in, letting the body wave with that energy. And it's just bringing that focus back to we are cultivating energy. And that would be your octopus pause. You take how long you need with it. Right. This is the last part of Ocean Oasis. This would be the bubble bath. This is the part where you've been building the energy on the inside. But now what we want to do is fill up our egg on the outside. So if you imagine you have a nice big bubble around you, it reflects all that's going on around you. It evaluates what's important to come in. It helps to navigate you expressing out. And it's bigger than you. It's bigger than your space. So when we had our pearl, my pearl's a little bit bigger. When we had our pearl at the very beginning, we had a set amount that we could bring our hands together. When our energy egg expands, it expands all the way around us. So in this case, my hands, the space of the energy between my two hands has actually expanded. And so that's what we're going to do with the bubble bath. So it's like having that pearl at the beginning, except what we're going to do is we're going to roll. So we're going to roll that energy coming out of our fingers, and we're going to roll it in the space around us. And we're just cultivating, we're just bringing our hands through that space. And you just want to make sure you get all the way around. So that bubble bath, and you could think of it as the foam on the ocean if you want. You can think of it as the seaweed. You can think of it as the bubble bath if you want to crawl into the tub, thinking about that. But all of it is about letting that energy egg around you just completely shimmer and shine. All right, so I have cultivated all the way around, down to the floor, okay, up through my legs, just making sure I've got all spaces, up over my head. I feel like I've got all of it. So now they call it flouncing. And you just take your hands and it's like you're tucking in the edges, like when you tuck somebody into bed. You're just tucking in that energy egg, just to make sure there isn't anything, the pieces are, a little bit extended out further than you want. You just think behind you, over the top. Oh, I didn't feel it on the top of my head. It was like I was kind of tickling my hair. Okay, just bring it around. And when you have all the energy right where you want it, then what I want you to do is bring your fingers together. Now we've already done the octopus pause several times. So what I want you to do is just take those fingertips together. You can leave them down in front of lower dantian, which would be way out in front. You can bring it out across from the heart. You can also bring it out across from your forehead. Now, I'm not going to bring it to my forehead because we just cultivated all the energy on the outside. So I don't want to draw right into myself. I want to actually stay out in the egg. So I'm just going to hold my fingertips there, and you may feel it coming right through your body, going right down to your feet. All right. And when the body feels like it's ready and you've been rejuvenated, it'll move somewhere. Mine is moving backwards. You might move forwards or sideways, but the body has given you the signal, I'm ready, and we're done. And that is Ocean Oasis. I invite you to play with it, make it your own, find a way to find the music that resonates with you, and use it to goal set, vision map, build energy, support you as you need it. And if you need to calm the system, this is the way. If you need to energize for what's coming up for you, use it as you can. Enjoy.